Your Apple Watch comes with more features than what you think, because by default, there's a lot of these hidden features that are turned off from Apple. So if you like to turn on some of these hidden, secretly stored features, I have you covered in today's video. Let's begin. So the hand washing timer was something that was debuted during the Apple Watch Series 7 days. And this is a brilliant way to make sure you properly wash your hands, as a 20-second timer will go on automatically and will congratulate you once you completed it, and also keeps track of all of this data in your health app. But by default, this is actually turned off because this is all personal preference. But to me, I personally recommend having this on because it'll not only allow you to gather more health data about yourself, but also if you ever find yourself feeling icky from holding money or handshaking an individual who doesn't clean up or is known to have some type of weird disease, this is where this 20-second timer comes in play extremely well. So you will locate this in the settings section of your Apple Watch and just go into settings and scroll all the way down until you find hand washing. And here is where you go in and enable this function. The next one is the freedom to allow Siri to read out loud the time. This is extremely useful, especially in times where you have your hands full, but you're free enough that you can simply use 2 fingers to tap on your display without looking at the clock itself. So by simply doing this and you tap on it, Siri will do this. 11:29. Just verbally read out loud the time, and depending on the setting you selected, it can also vibrate your wrist to tell you the time. So if it's 2 o'clock, it will vibrate your wrist twice, and then followed by like 30 minutes or 15 minutes by vibrating once for 1, and then 5 times for 5. So 15 to 15 if that was the case. It's a really nifty feature that once enabled definitely does come in clutch. So if you like to enable this, you'll find it in the settings once more as everything else in this video, and scroll into the clock section where it says speak to time, enable this, and then you can either allow it to be controlled with silent mode or always speak. With always speak check marked, basically if your device is on silent, Siri will continue to always verbally read out loud the time. But if you select control with silent mode, now whenever your Apple Watch is on silent, it's just gonna vibrate you the time. And a cool little bonus here is if you're using the Apple Watch Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse watch face, the character will read out loud the time with their character voice. It's kind of funny. It's 11:32. Good morning. Now, a recently removed feature that is now available was given back to the Apple Watch, and that is the freedom to switch between the many different watch faces you have on your Apple Watch by just simply sliding the bottom portion of your display. This is a creative way to have, what I like to do is I like to have 3 Apple Watches, watch faces side by side. So one for work purposes, one for the gym, and then one for when I'm casually out on a date or something like that. I can just swipe to quickly change between watch faces if I don't like to schedule anything with like shortcuts per se. But now if you like to re-enable this, hopping back onto our settings, scroll down into the clock section, and where it reads swipe to switch watch faces, enable this, and now you have the freedom to swap between the many different watch faces. Now if you find that the watch face wake screen duration is a bit too short, you should definitely increase the time to its maximum setting like I have. By default, this is set to the lowest one. So if you simply scroll down to the display and brightness section of your Apple Watch settings, then all the way on the very bottom where it says wake duration, select wake for 70 seconds. And now it's no longer gonna do that. Another feature that's disabled by default is the annoyance whenever you launch an app on your Apple Watch, but you move your wrist down and then you raise it back up, it takes you directly back to the watch face. If you don't like this, if you like to remain on the app that you previously clicked on, automatically, instead of having to re-click on that app one more time, giving us the override capability, you want to go ahead and enable this. Go into the General tab and look for Return to Clock. In here, select after an hour. After an hour is the maximum time that you can have a third-party app or a first-party app running in the background to always remain on as you raise your wrists. So there you go. Now real quick folks, I like to quickly clarify something. Although we are using an Apple Watch Ultra, 90% of these features I'm showing you in today's video is all compatible on all Apple Watches so long as they're on the latest version of watchOS 10. Now something that I wish that Apple would at least prompt up as you pair up your Apple Watch for the first time is the 2 vibration settings you could have. If you ever feel that your Apple Watch is not vibrating your wrist hard enough for you to know when a notification is on your wrist, you can actually increase the vibration strength. And you'll find it in the settings section, and go into accessibility and go into sound and haptics. And right in here, if you scroll down to haptic alerts, select prominent. And it's much more aggressive, as it not only will vibrate your wrist once, but twice, unlike the default one, which is a soft single vibration. This is 2 hard ones, and will definitely get your attention. But this next one is a feature that I personally like using the most, especially if you're always on a personal time crunch, either from going to the gym, going to work. Make sure you're home on time without losing track of time. Let's be real, I'm sure we all done this, where we're doing something for a while, but then we look at our wrists and you said to yourself, holy cow, 3 hours has gone by. Well, this is where this feature comes in, and it's chimes. So very similar to like a grandfather clock. You know, every hour, on the hour, you hear like a ding. Your Apple Watch could also do this, but you could actually change it to every 30 minutes, or I believe 15 minutes. We'll find out right now. So back on our settings, like everything else. I'm sorry, it feels like I'm on repeat, but everything will be in the settings. Again, it turns off by default. In the clock section, scroll all the way down to where you see chimes. Enable it right here, and you have the freedom to select either bells or birds if you have your device not on silent. But if you have it on silent, it's going to be the haptic feedback motors that you're used to tell you that an hour has gone by. But if you like to change this to, instead of being an hour, you can also change it to every 15 minutes. So by going back and select the accessibility tab, and if you scroll down to chimes, here is where you could select the schedule to be hourly, every 30 minutes, or 15 minutes. And there you have it. Now, fall detection. For fall detection to work, by default, this is enabled if you're over the age of 65. If I'm wrong, I'll have the correct age number right there. But I believe it's 65. But I am not 65, and I love using this feature just for the peace of mind. Because I do ride bikes, I am athletic, I haven't yet been unconscious, but again, I just do this for the peace of mind. But there has been times where I have accidentally toggled the fall detection, but it's really loud and noticeable if your fall detection is toggled, where I'm always able to disable it. For my experience, it's like once every year I do get a false alarm, either from closing my tailgate, using the hammer, and the Apple Watch assumes that I fell and I'm unconscious and unresponsive. But it gives me enough time to actually go what is that, to disable it. So from my experience, I haven't yet got to the point where I accidentally did like a false SOS. So because of that, I highly recommend at least having this enabled if you also want the peace in mind, because by default, it's turned off. So if you like to do this, simply go in your Apple Watch settings and go into the SOS tab. And here where it says fall detection, this is where you could go in and enable this. Same applies to the SOS by holding down on the power button. That's how you can enable the fall detection ability. Crash detection is also found here, but it will be enabled by default. Now for this one, it is exclusive to the Apple Watch SE or SE2 or any Apple Watch that does not have a built-in keyboard, is download a keyboard app. A feature that the Series 9 or the Ultra Apple Watches all have is a built-in OS keyboard, which really does come in handy if you're trying to type a sentence to somebody while replying to a text message without having your phone on you. Not only these two devices, because the larger display, Apple decided to integrate a built-in keyboard, but there's many amazing third-party ones that are available that you can actually download, which will work the same way. And some of these work with third-party apps as well. I'll link this one in the description down below, and it's free to download. There is a paid version, but that's only if you want to customize your keyboard with like unique colors and such. So I definitely recommend downloading at least a keyboard app in those situations where you cannot verbally request or reply to a text message, or Scribbles is just taking too long to type up a word. Now, the depth sensor is something that is exclusive to the Apple Watch Ultra, where if you put your Apple Watch in water, it will actually automatically launch the depth app. This is pretty cool and awesome, but for some reason my Apple Watch Ultra had this feature disabled. So this is just a unique feature. It's not really necessary. You don't have to be a scuba diver to really see its uniqueness, but scuba divers are definitely the ones that will really benefit this. But I just like having this on because it allows me to track how deep this pool is, as an example, like deep. So to enable this, you'll find it in the settings section, and then you'll go into general and then scroll into the auto launch section. And by having this enabled, if you scroll down, when it says when submerged, you can either use a third-party app that has this depth sensor capability. We'll be using the default Apple Watch app. So there's the depth sensor selected, and now you can select immediately or at 3 feet. I like the immediately one. It just looks cool. And there we have it. Those are some features that are turned off by default that I highly recommend others to at least be aware of and experiment and turn some of these on for yourself and see which ones you like or which ones you don't like. Or you could be like me and just have all of them enabled and just be aware of what they're capable of doing for situations where you feel like it's appropriate to use them. So if you got some good usage out of this video, greatly appreciate it if you can actually leave this video a like. And if you're curious what kind of Apple Watch band I'm using on my Apple Watch Ultra, I go through those accessories in this accessory guide video over there. Make sure you are subscribed because I do plan on doing a lot more. And feel free to comment down below for any recommendations in terms of tips and tricks video you want to see next, or accessories you've been eyeballing, you just haven't pulled the trigger because you're concerned it might just be a terrible product. Let me be the one, the guinea pig that buys it, and review it in the next video for you. Thank you so much for watching.